Dr. Ron Daniels, who stepped out, he always talks about the civil rights movement and how these guys pressed on and insisted every step of the way until they got where they needed to get. And look, this country in which you live is the free world. There are still challenges, but you have moved miles. But it took work. People had to work as hard as they possibly could. You guys in the diaspora have your challenges too, your frustrations. I'm hoping that you realize you need to keep moving. You need to keep pushing as much as you possibly can. I want to know you people in just like 5 minutes. Huh? Yeah, I want to annoy you some more. Because already you are annoyed. Yes. Everyone in the diaspora has got a story. You have a reason, a cogent reason why you left Uganda. Otherwise you would have to be home with your families. But for one reason or another, it could be an economic reason. Either you failed to find a job, or you needed better, you were struggling to make anything. And so you left the country. For some of you, it's political reasons. Because you are being hounded back home. And for your own safety, you needed to leave. Some of you are here, some are in several other countries. Some of you needed better health care for you to leave. Ashraf here, and several other examples. So you have got a reason why you are not in Uganda. And I am sure that reason annoys you enough to work hard to see that our country gets better. Mr. President, yesterday we adumbrated a couple of things. We talked about healthcare, education, we talked about infrastructure and what we ought to do to fix these things, because they are fixable, at least when we take charge. And normally the resounding question is, where are the resources going to come from? The SG has just reminded us, in Uganda we lose over 10 trillion shillings per year to corruption. 10 trillion is about half the money that URA collects in Uganda. Because in the last financial year, the target of URA was to collect 24 trillion, they collected 23 trillion. Now 10 is historic. Forget the huge budget that you see at 72 trillion, which is an inflated, puffed up thing. Of course, most of that is going to be borrowed and so on and so forth. But half of the money that we collect in our country, you think about it, half is stolen. What much can that money do? When I wanted to cite a few examples, some, when I was chairing the committee, I was sharing some of the prevailing situations, which show you that when we talk about this, and by the way, the 10 trillion figure is not our figure. That's a figure for government of Uganda. A report of the Inspector General of Government. So that's a report of government. And for those that have been following, the journalists I am, whenever government gives you a figure, you know that they have either lessened it so that they don't look as bad as government. So you can push that figure even higher. The amount that is stolen. So when you hear people say, we actually don't have money, we do have money. One of the entities we investigated was Uganda Railways Corporation. These people bought locomotives. First of all, very old locomotives in comparison to what they were meant to buy. And they bought them a lot more expensively. And they didn't go through procurement regulations as they should have. So they spent 48 billion to buy locomotives. Bigari, Yomuka. They brought them home. They failed to function. Then they told us, you see, the rails need to be tweaked a little bit and so on. They tried to do that. They moved one of them and the thing derailed. It went off the rail. 48 billion. So I insisted, together with the team I was leading, I said, this thing here, no. So we made a lot of noise. Eventually the MD was fired and the entire board. But I said, our quest was not just for these people to get fired. I want this money recovered. That hasn't happened to date. When we were handling Uganda Land Commission, some of you have got land challenges back home. You buy land, and then before you know it, somebody bought it before you. But you paid money. There's a lot of land fraud back home. So there are people who, they go to villages. There's many parts of our country whose land is not titled. So these people go to like Koima or wherever, and then like 5 square miles, villages and villages of people. There's no title. And so they go and forge titles. And then they come and say, we want to displace you people because we are the ones with the title. But these people have been on that land for over 100 years, dating back to the other generations, yeah? And somebody saying, I've got the title. Now, they then get into cahoots with government officials to say, okay, now, since this person has got title, government should save these people so that they are not sent off their land. Government should now pay this person who has got title so that those people are saved. But it's an entire syndicate. So one of those cases we discovered, some lawyers who thought they were very smart. I mean, by the way, Mr. President, congratulations again. So council tukade tongera ko. Natukuyoza okutuuka ku bwaloya. I was teasing him yesterday. I told him, you see, this profession you have come into, you find seniors like us. So you are junior counsel. That is the reality. So I spoke about lawyers, some unscrupulous lawyers. They went and forged the signature of a high court judge. So then I looked for the judge who had since retired. So I asked him, I said, boss, there's this letter here. Apparently you signed the letters of administration giving these people powers to administer all of this land, and they eventually got title. He told me 2 issues are problematic. Number 1, that's not my signature. Number 2, that document was signed when I had since retired. So then, what we did, we insisted and got those titles cancelled. But these guys had already been paid billions of things. So today I am still insisting and saying, I want these guys to return that money. Because now the titles were cancelled after we made a lot of noise. So the titles got cancelled. And so I have since been saying, now that the titles were cancelled, these guys were paid based on fake titles. Let them return that money. That has yet to happen. KCCA. The SG has been telling us about the landfill details. Very unfortunate. We have been saying, look, this place here is full to capacity. About 36 acres, but since 1996, it's been a heap and it got oversaturated. So they percentage some other land, Lulu, in Mokono, 36 acres, but then they have failed to get the place ready. Anyway, the example I'm going to give about KCCA. You normally hear of these traders whom they want to send off the streets. So these guys came up with a brilliant idea. And they said, now these vendors here want to get a place for them. That's supposed to be a good thing, right? They went in downtown Kampala, in Ssenyonyi, identified 10 acres of land. Most of that land is a wetland. I went to see it. What he took cahoots with the vendor of the land, and then they said, we are going to, we need $100 million US for these 10 acres. You people buy land in Uganda, right? What that means is that each acre of land was to cost $10 million. This is just land. They didn't have a building or anything. Just land. Most of it was wet. But then they were convincing us that each acre is going to cost 37 billion shillings. That's the about 37.5 billion when you do the transfer. How does that make sense? Even in Dubai, an acre of land does not cost 37 billion. It does not. Just land, not having a structure. But so they said, we now want to take these vendors to that land. I said, but we thieves. So we pushed back, made a lot of noise, and up to now, because the deal was meant to be cut sometime last year. But we said, no, this nonsense cannot happen. But that's an example of many other things that happen, which we may never get to know about. We went to Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation. Among many things that were happening there, the Electoral Commission, after an election, it's meant to gazette those that have won an election at different levels. And the law says the Electoral Commission can only gazette with the Uganda Gazette, which is run by Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation. That's the law. So they don't have the option of going to Monitor, Vision, or whatever the case might be. So because of the lengthy roster, from all the people that had won, including councillors, UPPC charged them 15.4 billion. Now, some sharp fellows within UPPC said, we are the ones who brought this deal. So we must be given commission, 10%. So they shared 1.54 billion. So I asked them, I said, you people have been paid commission? They said, yeah. I said, how does this make sense? That we are the ones who brought the business to UPPC. I asked them, what does the law say? Because the law says, Electoral Commission is meant to gazette only in the Uganda Gazette, which is run by UPPC. So when you say that you convinced them to give you business, and so you deserve a commission, how does that make sense? Just think about it. Today they haven't funded that money. We went after UNDS. Maybe some of you are following. Some lousy ND there. We pushed and got evidence, and then he admitted how he had given 100 million to a board to reappoint him. But for him to do that, it's because he knew there were so many deals there. So many. Yesterday we talked a bit about Civil Aviation Authority. Yes. And Uganda Airlines, which report was thrown out the window by this very corrupt woman. Let me cite for you two examples about that airline of ours. You know, when we talk about these things, some people say we don't like our country. But people were buying tickets, some of these regular flyers to Dubai and so forth. Somebody buys a ticket and recycles that ticket over 10 times without paying. They pay once. But because they're in cahoots with the officials of the airline, so the ticket is not closed, as it is called technically. So you buy the ticket once and you fly with it 10 times. So Uganda Airlines made a loss of about 500 billion in a very short time. And then I saw ministers saying, you say you just don't like the country, airlines make losses. Okay, yes, they make losses. But how are we making our losses? Because those were billions of shillings because it costs to spend fuel and so on. But then people are flying for free under the guise of having paid. But the fellow paid once. And many, many other cookery things that were happening there. Where the MD had a boyfriend who had a company, and she, without following procurement, gave the boyfriend's company a deal worth, I forget the exact figure, some billions of shillings. We did some digging up and discovered she founded the company with him. And when we talk about these things, we are enemies of the country. People have been following the debate of the War Hospital, which I said I'm not going to keep quiet about this one. We have so far injected 600 billion shillings into the War Hospital. So I went with a couple of leaders, some MPs are here. Said they want to do our oversight role. They denied us access. You know, we stood somewhere and peeped And we were not seeing anything. So I told my colleagues, it is possible if we're building an underground hospital. Maybe that's why we cannot see it. But today, the 600 million shillings cannot be accounted for. And they told us they will give us an update about it. I'm addressing the question of money. Those who say that we don't have money to deal with these situations. When you people travel back to Uganda, you normally use the Entebbe Expressway. Not so? Do you know that that road is one of the most expensive roads in the world? That road cost $476 million US. Each kilometer costs $9.2 million. The average, according to the computations and those that had done the prognostications, was going to be about $2 million per kilometer. But the sharp fellows blew the thing up. And so when I hear some people in government huffing and puffing how they have fixed infrastructure, but at what cost? Because all of these are debts which your children, your grandchildren and mine will have to pay. And so we have got money. Let me end with this one. Parliament of Uganda has been constructing its chambers, new chambers, because there are people who decided every village must become a constituency and all of that nonsense. Those chambers were meant to be completed in 2019. They kept pushing and pushing. Then at some point, as I was digging up, said, money has not been as available. I said, but wait a minute. So I did some more digging up. This is another war I want to start very soon when I go back. You know, I like starting trouble. Parliament rents Kingdom. You people know Kingdom? It's like an arcade, whatever. Where Ssenyonyi was. Do you know who the owner is? Sudhir / all those other names. Parliament spends 9 billion shillings per year on rent. There's another called Queen's Chambers. Parliament spends 4.5 billion shillings on rent for office space for MPs and staff. Then there's another called Development House, for about 6 billion or thereabout. So you're saying you don't have money to complete your structure, which would make sure you're not renting. But then you have billions that you're spending to rent. Your guess is as good as mine. The owners of the structure are cutting deals with the leadership of the institution to say, look, delay that project. Because you see, once the project ends, these guys want to get the billions. And that's how they divide. As I